Navneet Chahal and Samita, thank you both for joining me. Navneet is a lawyer and a citizen activist. Samita is also an activist, and she's the admin for the We Support Farmers group. It's been a year since the farmers have been protesting. The Prime Minister has announced recently that he will be repealing the three farm laws. What does this mean for the movement on the ground? The farmers, behind the farmers, there have been some very, very strong women who have been keeping the momentum going for the farmers' protest. So, kicking into this conversation on Table Talk on the farm laws rollback, the women power, and really where does this go from here? Navneet, going to you first. There are a lot of reports saying that the farmers will not give up their protest despite what the Prime Minister has said. Can you clarify for me what it is like on the ground?
Okay, first of all, before even I make that statement, I must say that the official statements are all made by the farmers' associations. I can only share information as to the field or the tips that we get or speaking with everybody on the ground. So this is my personal statement, and it may not be construed as a statement coming from the unions. The statement has been, the announcement has been really welcome. There is no doubt about it. Everybody is extremely, extremely happy about it, but everybody is extremely and extremely cautious about it too. So while we've had various kind of issues and andolans in Punjab on various times where leaders get together, they sign up statements, but they've seen, the history has seen certain events where despite of those signed up agreements, things are not followed through. So this was a sudden announcement by breaking news. Prime Minister is going to go on live, and he's made the decision that we've decided to repeal these laws. Now, the decision to repeal these laws and a live statement, we as citizens expect the Prime Minister to be honoring these, his commitment and his announcement, as one would not expect him to be going on live and making that statement. Having said that, that's a decision as yet, and the Parliament session is going to be sitting. As far as we know, on 24th, they are tabling the proposal to withdraw these, which should be accepted by the committee. And on 29th, they should be passing it through. The first motion should be passing through. We've checked. Even today, we were checking as to whether it is on the agenda. So far, it's not on the agenda. There is only Q&A on the website that we can see. I can see. So coming down to it, as to your question is, what is the farmers are saying they will not go back? Because as yet, it's not a signed document. And it's very right for them. It's taken really life energies for them to be sitting on the borders, to be paying the price, which is at 719 people as of yesterday, that we've lost during this protest. So I did see a request which says कि भी please go back home, आप लोग सब अपने घर में जाओ, विनम्रता के साथ हम कहते हैं, but अभी कैसे जाएं? Till the time the ordinances really actually are, it is the law, it's been repealed, it's signed, stamped, sealed, because here in this country, we've seen overnight president signing off on laws, and it's happening again. So I think they are really entitled to have this apprehension. Plus, they said the three farm laws. There are technically two farm laws, and there is one amendment to the Essential Commodities Act. And so we do not know all three of them are going to go through, or two farm bills. And he said three farm laws, so I assume it's the three. The farmers have been asking for a repeal of these ones. They've been asking for introduction of the MSP, which is currently only for 23 products, but they would be wanting a minimum secured price for the 23, which they themselves offer but not buy, but also for the other products, which they believe by getting the mandi systems out of the system go away, but they want some minimum secured price to be announced. So there is multiple issues. There is an electricity bill proposal which is pending, which will privatize the electricity, which is now currently under the government and which subsidizes the electricity. You know what's happening with the petrol prices and the diesel prices. Right. With those petrol and diesel prices going high, the cost of agriculture, for example, in the last few years, the percentage of increase as far as the paddy price or the rice price has been a fraction of minimalistic few percentage of numbers. Within the last 3 months, we've seen 35 to 40 rupees increase in diesel. If there's no electricity, Where are they
So
going to go with it?
So let me get Samita at this point. Samita,
Yeah.
Navneet is talking about apprehension, and rightly so. Is that a sense you feel? I mean, where does the trust factor stay at this point?
See, I agree with Navneet to quite an extent because we've seen the history of it, how the government work and how it has been happening. After all, the farmers didn't go through this protest in an easy go through an easy way because whatever was meted out to them, we all know, right? So the trust factor is still there. I mean, the people are a lot apprehensive about this, and till it is actually legally done, the farmers, they will not go from there
So,
because that is necessary. Yeah.
so is there an eye on elections as well? I mean, there are two crucial states that
Ye-
involve the farmers between Punjab
Yes,
and
yes,
UP.
of course.
That's a
Of
big.
course, everybody. Yeah, because everybody is trying to woo the farmers because India is an agrarian country. We can't deny that. And farmers, the way they've been treated since even before independence till now, nothing much has changed for them. Their lives, look at them, the way they
Okay.
are, and this is first time that a movement started where people of all walks they aligned with the farmers and they said this is wrong. These people are peaceful. They just want their right. And what's wrong in asking for what is rightfully yours? And you can't just go and slap laws on people when they are not even fair. This country is a welfare country. India is a welfare state. We must put that in mind before putting such things in action. I mean, it should be thought through.
So the last 1 year, Navneet, what's it been
Yes.
like? You've been perpetually on the ground. You've been perpetually going from one area to another. What is it that you've seen that has really stood out for you?
The list is endless. And I'm not going to touch on everything, but I can just say connection back with humanity, connection back with, we're educated a lot sitting in metropolitans right now. And I see silence, which is being affected by every citizen on a normal act or a small announcement or a new policy coming in, none of us voicing even a word about it. We've got activism which is going on for women rights and for, on those issues. Here we have the 1 year, what I saw, the first one, the ordinance came in the monsoon season. Most of us, even I, being a lawyer, I wasn't aware of what is the implication of this act for months. I would see there is an agitation going on. They're sitting in the streets. They're sitting in toll plaza. I didn't take time to even get up or read the three acts as to how come there is an agitation which is going on. You see, if you are living in Delhi, you will see on a daily basis on Jantar Mantar. Every weekend there is every day there is a protest of people coming, and our cars pass by every day. How many of us even stop by and ask the question? And they are just a handful. Here, I went on 2nd of December. First of all, the magnitude of them. Second, the simplicity of these people. It was winter cold, 2nd December. We walked across to the barricades, and when I look across to them, they're sitting in dhoti, kurti, everybody on the streets trying to organize themselves. They weren't talking about things that they didn't have. All they were doing over there, biba cha pi lo, biba roti kha lo, tusi sadi gal sun lo. All they were asking was somebody to come and listen to you. You know, I think the first day I didn't sleep. 2, 3 days I didn't sleep. All I was doing was simply crying because I went back and I read the laws then. I didn't read before I went to the movement. I came back and I was just trying to understand. And when I read and reviewed them then, and I am looking at a normal farmer, he's not educated, by the way. And I was wondering how did they put two and three together? How did they understand? They obviously had somebody explain the impact of these ordinances, but look at the simplicity of the person, how they trusted and understood the depth of the impact of these legislations. and they decided to sit in. Before they came to the borders on 26th, they sat in 6 months in the cities that they were doing. Because nobody was listening to them, because there was just no audience, nobody was listening, they decided to get together. But look at the effort of a simple person from a home. He doesn't even have few bucks, but there are few groups getting together, 100, 200, 300 rupees. At this point of time, there's not much people who have supported them. There's a lot of other people, but at this point, they put in their lifetime savings, they put in diesel, they've even given up looking after their own farms. They've gotten and they've come here. And when I went, they had faced cannons, they had faced water cannons, they had faced lathi charge. I saw them hurt, I saw bleeding. There was one Babaji, he's a favorite Babaji, everybody sees on the you have seen this Nihang Sardarji, whose eye was hit, with the fire bullet, with the bullets that were shot there. Gas. So, and when I would see their legs, and I'll ask Babaji, "Tusi agge kyun aaye? Mundiyan nu agge kar dena siga." I mean, what I mean is, why didn't you, let the younger person come in? And he says, "Why? पहला मैं मरांगा, फिर मेरे बच्चे, मैं इतना थोड़ी जवाब देना है। मैं पहला आगे आवांगा, फिर मेरे बच्चे, असी पिंड जाके की लोकां नू जवाब देना." I mean.
Yeah, but with this, this is somewhere where I'm going to take off from to Samita. This is also where the women come in. The women have been equally at the forefront of this movement, yes, in a sense, right, Samita? Yes. I mean, yes, they could be behind the scenes, but that doesn't take away the fact that they have been integral to this movement.
They have been. I mean, nobody left the morcha even once. If the youngsters went, the women were there, because you see anything to be successful, you need any movement to be successful. You need people like men, women, children, everyone, and women being there stabilized a lot of situations which could have gone out of hand. Even from the government's point of view, they could have been even fiercer, but women were there. They were very much there and fighting and voicing their opinions. They were not at the back of the scenes, I think.
No,
they were not there.
Yeah, I want to just add in over there. When you see these, this was a mixed batch. It was just not men there. They were. I can remember days, and this is due. They are sleeping on the roads, and this is women too. Literally on just chadars. There weren't even enough blankets at that time. There weren't even enough rajayas at that time. They slept on petrol pumps, right at HP, BP, Indian Oil. And there was not even, later on the tarpaulins came in, later on the huts came in. Before they came on, just in tractors and trolleys, and they were all sleeping. Those who didn't even find enough space among them were all sleeping beneath the tractor and trolleys, and there were enough women, and let me just not miss out, there were even children. Yes. And this is from 2nd December also.
And Jyotsna, we must not forget that female hygiene is quite important. They didn't even bother about that. So there were no toilets out there. There was nothing out there. So we must remember the way they.
That must have been a big challenge, Samita.
Of course it was. Navneet knows better because she was there.
There were only 12 toilets on one side at Singhu border. It's a 4-kilometer side. And there were 2 barricades. There were only 12 toilets on one barricade side. And the second stage of the SKM, this is Kisan Mazdoor Sangharsh Committee side. And this was by the Delhi police. And this was, the water was given by the Delhi government. And this was on Kisan Mazdoor Sangharsh Committee side, Site 1. And beyond this, there was a second barricade. And in that barricade, there was just no toilets. And there were thousands. I mean, if in Kisan Sangharsh Committee, we would say there are about 1,000 people or 1,500 people at that point of time, there were like 20,000 people on the other side. And there was practically nothing. So all logistics, water, tenting, living, bathroom, drinking facility, even toilet facility, everything was made. Not just beyond that. Every time there was langar going on, with the langar, how there wasn't even enough cleaners. How do we put cleaners in place to make sure there's not enough flies coming in? How do we get it cleaned every day? A city had to be brought up overnight. within a
And you
week.
must remember, and I mean, we must remember, not you must remember, we must remember that there was no organization behind that. They were little unions, and everybody came from their own villages. And look, we say that the poor people or the farmers, they don't understand anything. They do understand. They came in batches of 10, 15 from the villages, and they took turns to come and go. So this is a big thing. And another thing, the unity of Haryana. Haryana stood like rock, and then
Absolutely.
came UP, and we should never forget that.
Absolutely. Haryana was the backbone. They broke
Yes,
all borders, Shambhu border, any other border. Haryana was forward with all everybody. And the first time when the barricades were held up, there was just no road. 20 feet, the highway was dug in 20 feet deep so that even the tractors don't pass. I mean, this was ready harvest. And the Haryana brothers, farmer brothers came ahead and they said, run your tractors through them. They spoiled the harvest. They said, just run through them. And they were women, people, they knew everybody's going, where's the roti going to come from? Where is everything going to come from as far as passages is happening? The support is, I mean, honestly tell me, I don't need any spiritual trip anymore in my life because this is our spiritual journey. We've finished it, we've seen it, we've done it. This movement has been run by a divine hand protecting everybody against millions of conspiracies happening, against millions of tragedies that could possibly happen, against possibilities of, can you imagine a lack of people? And not everybody is going to be same. Not everybody is going to be thinking alive. There's
yes.
going to be a set of rowdy people. There's going to be a set of some very sensible people. How do you get yourself sorted? And I can tell you an example. There was a young kid. I think he was 12 years old or 13. This kid would give a duty at night to be watching. He says, I study for school, I come back, I'm doing my seva. He's wearing a green jacket at night and he's manning the traffic, and his father is very proud of that. You have children living in the trolleys, and they were, in the daytime, they would
They
be
would,
doing seva, and they'll be sitting and they'll be studying their notebooks. We have exams there. I've been in those trolleys, I've lived with them. And I'm like, hats off to you
So,
guys. Wow.
Samit,
so Jyotsna, one thing, the common factor in all of them was that what will our future generations say? I mean, how are we going to answer them if we don't stand up now? And now that is a big thing, and that's a very common thing we find in villages. The ikat, the takat of being united, which is missing in the urban population. Probably that was something the urbanites never understood. What is this?
so I want to ask you, because you mentioned that, how did it feel? The kind of accusations that kept coming, the kind of headline management that kept coming, the kind of distractions that kept coming. On the ground, what kind of a reaction was it?
See, I wasn't at the ground. Navneet was more over there. I was running my own Facebook group. I was more of a writer and doing that kind of a seva, and yes, providing a lot of medicines and other stuff. So, but the thing is, when these accusations come, you feel bad. You feel like you feel terrible. This is my country. Why is somebody calling me like that? I mean, what have we done? We've done so much of, we've provided. When there was a food scarcity in our country in the 1960s, our farmers stood up and they said, here we are, rice is not our native crop. We'll grow rice for the entire country. We'll grow wheat, rice, we'll do that. And we did it. And then again, at our fronts, our people have always been there. You can see the statistics. And I mean, how can anybody question you also how can anybody call you Khalistani? What is Khalistan? I don't know about any Khalistan. I mean, there is no map about it. There is nothing about it. And that's terrible for anybody to say that also.
Did somebody?
And then Andolan Jivis came up. Andolan GB, I think I still stick to it. Oh, of course, I'm an Andolan GB. I might be, we are Andolan GBs now. I mean, how dare you?
Right.
So these things do come up, yeah.
Navneet, tell me, how was your reaction to this? You know, like I said, the kind of distractions or the kind of name calling that kept coming. I mean, you've already just spoken about कि काफी educated citizens थे जो जिन्होंने didn't take part in this whole
Oh, yes.
movement. So and to add to it, the kind of the blame game, not a blame game, but the kind of accusations that were coming your way.
See, there are two fronts. There was one fear. 1984 saw riots in Delhi. Okay. So when they were playing the games, what they were doing was just not playing the name, calling Khalistani. They were planning a bunch of people who would come and agitate. On 29th January, if you see, there was a group of 200 people that came and attacked, and they brought in slogans. So every name calling was followed by a group of people who would go all around, and it was organized. It's just not random name calling that would be happening. You've got 161,000 in tech cells sitting across. You know, for UP, you've just hired 161 people. We are even trying to see at that point of time, we didn't have enough those kind of numbers to be even online. People didn't even have Twitter accounts. We didn't even have Instagram accounts. You know, on ground, everybody started making them. That we are being bombarded. We are being bombarded with this. But the thing, when they started name calling, they wanted to create another rift. They wanted to create the rift between Haryana and Punjab. Didn't you see this, the water issue? They first brought in the water issue, and they hired people, and they sent 200 people that we want our Haryana wants its water from Punjab. So there was a lot of shit which was going around at that point of time. The game was divide and rule, and they picked up the water issue. They picked up the religious issues, Sardar Langars. They picked up the Khalistan issue. The point was, at that point of time, was that nobody wanted it to be making it a religious movement, neither did anybody want it to be making it a community movement, because it wasn't. It was a farmers movement which brought the unity between the Punjab and Haryana differences, which brought a set of communities back together. But they were smart enough. A common man, this simple man is very smart. I would say hats off. I would get agitated. They would not. They'd say, "Phut pandi koshish kar rahe." All they are doing, phut pandi. Yesterday, let me tell you, a woman made such a wise statement. She must have been 72-year-old or 75, but looked 85. And she says, "He's given you this much. All be polite. Nobody makes rude statements. Nobody antagonizes them. Mithe ho jo, neeme ho jo. Pehla aa le lo, phir kar lo." You know, they were so smart. I'm not joking. And I was looking at her. She was teary-eyed. She said, "We've been sitting here for a year. Our children are here. Our hearts goes out because we don't feel good sitting out over here, but we don't feel good leaving our children even unattended without having foods." What are these? These are mothers who just know their sons are on the border, their husbands are on the border, and everybody's here. And some of them are farmers themselves. And they said, if they are standing over there, why am I going to be sitting in? You know, from the land where they come in, nobody sits back. They are actually on the ground, and they have sent so many children and husbands down to borders, and this is to them another border. So while these movements happen, I remember I took Kangana Rawat's effigy and she put it on gas. And I was happy to do that. I was jumping. I was literally jumping on the ground. I was taking all the effigies and we were taking it upside down. But the fact was, we didn't want to be, we wanted to be happily responding, but we wanted to make sure the unity doesn't break over there. And so everybody over here, rather than taking it extremely personal, the one thing they said, "Kirat kar de jao." Keep on doing your good work. Let them, they will see. They will see. And the longer system made everybody see it. So
Samita, because we're talking of the the Twitter and the Facebook and everything, and the game is played out on Twitter more than anything else. Did you have to up your social media game for this?
Yes, I didn't know how to handle Twitter at all. I was like, friends like Jugnu, Simran, my cousin Udaypal. So we would be, middle of the night doing this, and then early morning you have to get up because you have to send the children to school. It was like, a war is going on, and we have to win this war. And there were times when you would feel so low, and there have been so many times I've been crying also. Okay, now what's going to happen? These innocent people are sitting over there, and look at the way the government is behaving. It's your own country. You've created borders within your own country. You've stopped people from entering the capital of your country. Why? I mean, they are just ordinary citizens. They are not here to dismantle anything. As a matter of fact, if anybody did dismantle the infrastructure, it was the Haryana government. They had broken down the roads. Imagine a poor country like India. We need so much of money for infrastructure. We need for healthcare, and the government, they wasted so much of money on trying to stop the voice of these people. But how do you stop that voice? And it's not about just Punjab. When a farmer sees farmer of one particular region being tortured this way, they are simple people, but they have a lot of common sense and a lot of wisdom, more than us. Yes, we people are a little, urbanites. We are a little selfish. We do not care. But these people are not like that. They are very wise. They always see कि जे ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ. And then another thing which most of the elders in our village, they say कि whenever there is a trouble, ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਠੇ हैं ना, ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗੇ हैं ना, ਫਿਕਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ? We are here, we are sitting here, why do you worry? Yeah, so that was a lot of encouragement.
So I have to quickly wrap this up. I could carry on, but I have a last question for the both of you. What next for your movement? How do you keep unified? Of course, I know that the MSP issue is a big one, but how do you keep unity going, forward? Because there could be some who say it's okay with what we have now. Let's leave it.
Samantha, you want to go first? You want me to go first? Okay.
No.
I think we don't have to work on keeping the unity going. Okay, no, let me retract my statement on that one. I think it's the causes that have brought everybody together, and they stand united till the fact that they get the benefits that they've been seeking for. Since the first time when Taket, the senior Taket, came to Delhi to fight for the rights of the farmers, not much has happened since then. And this is the first momentum which is happening now that they've had, and we've got international community, including a lot of Indian citizens supporting us. So I guess for them to take all the causes that they have not been able to have the governments listen to them, this is the time for them to actually stick to them. So they are not going to back down. They will continue ensuring that those battle of theirs are even heard, and they ask very peacefully. So there's no harm in having the farmers' voice being listened to, because they're not agitating, they're not killing. All they're doing is writing you memorandums, and they want to sit with you and have a talk with you. So they will stay united for all the time. How do you keep this unity together? Your question perhaps is that if the government is kind of giving you 3 repeal laws, do you want them to go back, or do you want them to sit on the ground and stay united? There's going to be a conflict of opinion on that. Is that what you're asking, Jyotsna?
Also, yes.
Yeah. Okay. There is going to be a set of people who are going to be saying, okay, we've got this, let's go back, let's rethink, let's re-strategize. But I think what everybody till now has done, what Jathebandis are going to say, what they have done is get themselves organized under Jathebandis. They are not going beyond those Jathebandis, which is the farmer unions that they recognize. And they have been able to stick and get this only because While they may not agree with all the calls and the opinions or the decisions that the Jathemandis make, but they've all stayed united with even having difference of opinion as long as they are sitting with the organizations. What has really come forth is the success of Haryana system, which is the CUP system, though it is based on caste. We don't have a caste system which is happening in Punjab, and I don't think so that's ever going to be adopted in Punjab. But the CUP system in Haryana works phenomenally in the sense is one call. I mean, Mr. Chuduni or anybody who's been leaving, if there's been an agitation happening, one person is threatened, they send one message out, and you've got 10,000 farmers at the same site. Okay, so the way Haryana has been organized is phenomenal. That is something which Punjab is going to be looking into. How do they continue to stay organized and be that effective as Haryana has been? The way the Mahapanchayats are happening in UP and in Haryana, and they've had a phenomenal success with the Mahapanchayats. It's only the Mahapanchayats which has really scared the government, nothing else. It's not the strength of 13 votes in Punjab or 10, 11 in Haryana. It's not those which are bothering. It's the Mahapanchayat and the strength of the farmers which they have not broken down. I think Haryana learned a lot from Punjab farmers because this agitation, it didn't fail. It succeeded. So Sabar from Punjab along with the Jabbar, and Sabar and Jabbar both was in Punjab and Jabbar was there in Haryana, but now it is Sabar and Jabbar and unity. And then Haryana's Mahapanchayat CUP system works. So Punjab is going to be adopting those kind of systems and systems. There will be differences of opinion, but to my hunches, from whatever I've seen, they have never gone beyond the unions. They will stick to the calls which the unions make. They will try and convince their unions, but these guys are currently abiding by the orders and the decisions of what the union leaders make, and they will continue to do that. And that has been one of the big causes for them to be able to sustain and be at this point. So that's where I think they will continue. Whatever they decide, they will follow it through.
Samita, and what is your message as well, to the rest of the country?
This unity and people getting together, I'm getting to know Navneet and others. Before this protest, we hardly knew anyone. I didn't know Navneet before that. I didn't know so many of them, and rather people from all walks of life. There's so many of them. There's Tejveer, who's been giving us news. There's been Harinder, and all of them, each one of them. There's been this Meher Foundation, there's Sheena. There are so many of them. It's now become like a big family. It seems as if you know them. The other day after the Lakhimpur Kheri thing, massacre, I had gone to Mohali for the candle march. So there was this particular person, Yadvinder. So he was, I've never been much to Mohali. So he took me and the children with his family there, and he was very respectful and everything. And then he got us back also. So that kind of respect that the kind of unity that we've received. It's like, okay, we are together for a particular cause, and we are there for each other. It's become like a big family, and it's a very good thing for the youth especially. They need, we were losing all hope in our democracy. But when we are united, we can win anything.
No, absolutely. I
think Jyotsna, can I take a minute? I want to add something to this. Mr. Modi has no idea what he's done to Punjab, Haryana, and to India. He has
to India especially. Yes. Yeah.
And
yes.
Trust me,
yes.
This announcement. Did you expect an announcement coming from an arrogant prime minister for 7 years who's not even retracted even a single statement, never said sorry, never said anything, and him saying "Hum vinamrata ke saath ye क्षमा मांगते हुए ये वापस लेते हैं, etc., etc." It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, this is given hope for democracy. This is given hope for anybody, because
yes, I'd like to add one more thing.
We now know how to run protests. Be peaceful, get yourself organized, get people's opinion, get everybody connected. And I think citizens need to now be a little more empathic, and just not be looking individually as to me, myself, my life, and mine and thine.
Yeah.
It's going to be what's happening in and around and ours. But thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, because you've united Punjab. You brought
United
Punjab.
India.
We've got Urda. We are Urda Punjab right now. It's absolutely, our culture's revived, our unity's together, our culture's together. We who have been sleeping, because every one of us needs to be contributing back to our lands, and we who've been so alienated from it, this battle was fought by the last of the seniors who were still plying or working on their farms and their lands. Their kids would have sold up these pieces of land and gone to America, Canada, like the rest of the time they've gone on to city.
Yeah.
Now, none of us are going to do it. Now, all of us are looking at where we put our money back, where do we pick up our land, how do we get ourselves organized, and how do we do diversify, help other diversify, and how do we get together? And that's going to come out of citizens movement, which all of us are not going to be actually stepping back. Now it's back to community, and it's only creating healthy Punjab, Haryana, India, whatever. And trust me, thank you, Prime Minister, for doing this.
Yeah. My message to the youth, never deviate from the truth. Because this is one example that if you are truthful, you will always win. So I was just seeing in the younger generation, a generation of bullies coming up. Please, bullies, your time is up. The generation of truthful and hardworking people is now there.
And is this and have these protests actually sent out a different message that protests do lead to some kind of a resolution? That is also something that we're waiting, we're watching very keenly. I'm going to end it quickly now. Navneet and Samita, both of you ladies, thank you very much for joining me. Very, very inspirational. More power to you, more power to all those women on the ground who've been there for a year and from all kinds of reports have are definitely not backing down anytime too soon. So another winter beckons, and let's see how this goes. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on Table Talk.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you.